a little bit lackluster, but BLG going to try their hand at the double 80 carry composition with the Kindred. Again, has not looked great in the last few best of fives, but if anyone can do it, it's Shun, and see how T1 can try to snowball here in the early game. They have so many tools, kind of like last game, to get fights kicked off in their favor.
And I mentioned as soon as the Scion was locked in, you better start thinking about your level 1. Guess what? Kindred is one of the junglers that benefits the most from aggressive level 1 starts here. You can be so aggressive with this champion. Everyone in solo queue cheeses with it. All you need is a red buff on Kindred, and they can go for it. We even saw Owner himself trying to utilize that, going for the invade. So let's see about it. Will BLG be able to get off to a crazy start?
I'm really curious to see how BLG can make it work though, because you need to hit the ground running. If Faker ends up, getting push in mid and then is able to facilitate a lot of this potential 5v5, that's exactly what we saw against JDG in that game too. So we're excited to see if T1 will just take the fight once more, or if you can end up in this split map situation that will benefit Shun so well.
Here we are, gearing up for game. Normally, it's a brief moment of calm, but with a Scion on the Rift, we know what to expect. It's going to be all about this level 1, these advantages, and the Scion passive. It is time for game 2 between BLG and T1. Of course, here in the featured matchup presented by Mercedes-Benz, no surprise to see the supports called out. Carry again on the big playmaker, on once again on the Lulu. See what they can do as we get closer to the team fights. But level 1 kicking off. T1, what is the answer here? This has been such a difficult strategy to really do anything against.
Okay, if they keep Kennen topside, I want to see Zeus pull the minion wave to try and focus the minions so that you can get it pushing towards you and deny the Scion. But it looks like they might go for a re-entry. All right, they just ward up topside Raptors. BLG doing the same here, dropping the ward on Krugs, dropping the full ward here, up by Raptor Brush, and wrapping around for the Scion pull. Nobody is surprised.
Kind of just waiting to see if T1 want to invade here, if they want to contest this vision at all. I think it would be very risky to even walk forward. Now going to sweep out the ward, just a bit of poke over the wall on the carry. That damage will stick as the creeps are coming into lane quite quickly. So BLG will be uncontested on the start. Can they find the follow-up dive as well? Guma and Carrier, do they want to try to match here on the level 1 around this brush? For now, the answer is no.
So it looks like BLG going to be able to get this off. Gumayushi and Carrier starting to wrap around though. Will be spotted by Bin.
Showing about to hit level 2 here. Bin walking up. Scion, hands down, the most obnoxious level 1 champion in the game.
And just looking at the minimap, Zeus is just going to push the wave here on Scion. So topside, T1 is trying to get waves pushed in instead of trying to pull for deny. Krug fight.
Gonna get the smite down there. Ben still level 1. Guma taking a lot of poke. He pulled the red buff to reset it, crucially denying Kindred that red. But now 3 members on the side of T1 on the bottom side of the map, but it's a 4v3. Stepping in, spotting Owner now. What is the actual angle here? Elk crashing this wave, but Guma's not getting any experience.
And that's the big one here. Guma missed that entire first wave. He's missing the second, so even if BLG don't get the dive, they're still making Guma lose so much.
Hook from Carry is big. Level 2 from Owner as well. They have so much CC to try to stop this play. They're trying to lock down the Scion. Have to be careful of the passive of BLG. I think just happy to walk away with a massive bot side advantage. T1 on the opposite side, getting Zeus on the top side, some CS, but is it going to balance out?
Honestly, it is pretty big. This one is the most delayed the Scion has been, with getting the least amount of value on the top side. He was able to bounce the wave off of the turret already, was able to deny it. So Zeus up 2 minion waves before Bin even arrives, and Bin didn't get to do the Scion death, go for dive, get any extra kills here. Kennen can have such a big impact. The Kindred ultimate, as long as you get it off early, can be difficult to work around, but there is not a exhaust on the side of BLG for those team fights for later. So Zeus on one of his signature champions, the lightning theme that goes along with his name, might be able to have that big influence.
And it does feel like a huge amount of it's going to be like, Shun, can you get that ult, as you say? But also, Yagao, big Maokai ultimates. Can you actually turn around with a Kennen ult of yourself? Even on, getting some of those whimsies off as the Zeus tries to come in, they can make such a difference. But Shun now moving down to this bottom side is going to be able to pick up this crab for himself and get his first mark of the game.
Always questing to 4, want that extra 75 attack range, the big break point for Kindred so frequently. Now Shun setting his sights on the mid lane. Faker ready to backstep at a moment. Maybe just going to try to get a flash here. Yeah, now going forward, looking for the abduct. Is going to connect on the snare. Faker now trying to trade back. There's a sapling waiting in the bush. Owner over the wall here. Play is just going to fade away. Faker still walking out with his flash, so not going to cost him too much. Oh, but Shun Level 4 now stepping forward into Owner. 3, 4 on the mounting Dread. 1, 2, 3. Press the attack coming in as well. Gal looking for the fall, but Zeus is right behind them. This is a bit aggressive. They're going to need to try to find their way out of this one. Ben coming in, but it might be too little too late. They're trying desperately to burn through Zeus, but Shun already shut down. BLG have bit off more than they could chew. Yagao now running. He's got no mana. Ben desperate to get something back, but he's just a Scion. Hitting as much as he can. The passive is going to be big here. They have to slow down the zombie Scion. Faker running for his life. Zeus going to find the stun. Everyone on T1 will walk away. An incredible play.
And the top lane advantage does matter. Top lane matters. Zeus with the push, Zeus with the lightning. He brings it down onto BLG. Ben cannot join early. We talked about how much he was pushed off. He was so far down, and Zeus zones him, so he joins the fight first, even with the extreme chase of BLG, of Shun on this Kindred. You want to abuse early on Kindred, but it's just too far. Top lane advantage. Here comes the cannon. Guess what? Power in numbers, Dagda.
And this is the big thing. BLG just overextend. T1 have the collapse, and this is what Shun can bring. He can look absolutely fantastic, have an incredible series like we saw yesterday, but at times he will just overextend. We've seen it domestically, we've seen it at MSI, and now we're seeing it in this lower bracket final as well. BLG stepped that bit too far forward and T1 pounced.
It's just theoretically errors there. So much invested from BLG on the bottom side of the map with their level 1 invade and making it painful for Ben. He's sitting up there on Scion, so far behind, and then they decide to fight and over chase into that side of the jungle.
Maybe a mistake they couldn't afford to make, but again, mounting Dread connecting. Shun, does he want to keep this one going on now? Flashing in there, fully committed to taking out the support, but he can just hook the wall and walk away. Owner here as well. BLG getting a little antsy, it feels like. Over-forcing here, both on the bottom side and on the top side. Yes, they get the flash from Carrier, but they commit a lot of resources to make it happen.
Carrier's got Hex Flash, so he's actually not too worried about that one, but we're staying active. Shun, Shun, Shun.
Trying to find a way into mid lane. Gao, level 6, now coming in. We're going to wait to try to find the angle on the stun. Faker now dashing out to safety. There's the follow-up. 1-2 on the mark. Mounting Dread going to connect. Looking to cut down Faker. Yagao getting it on the backside with the chain lash.
The second proc just barely getting onto Faker there, even with the flash. And I didn't think that was going to work. BLG, no flash on Yagao, no flash on Shun. But Faker, that bit far up in the lane, and Shun with the revisit will pick up the kill.
Staying very active on this Kindred, ganking every single lane. I mean, technically, I guess we'll say the top lane chase was into a top lane play, but get some money right back there for BLG. Faker, no flash on the Jace 2. So you're always thinking about repeat visits because Yagao now level 6 on the Silas. So Owner has to be very careful whenever he shows around this mid lane. Yes, you want to throw saplings. Yes, you want to get vision for Faker. But if you show too close to Yagao, then he gets to steal your ultimate, one of the best ultimates in the game.
But it's anyone on T1 that shows up essentially gives a good ultimate. Hey, Nautilus, can you help? No, sorry, I don't want to give that across. Hey, Zeus, can you help? No, I don't want to give that across. And now BLG find Bane on that top side as T1. Start to move in, Owner in position, but looks like they will just back away for the moment.
This is the big thing about the Scion. You can get the plates, but it's very hard to dive this champion. Rocket coming bot lane, trying to stop the back, get a little bit of a tempo advantage here, but not going to come through. Guma getting a clean reset. Jinx able to make it in time. Elk going to grab that CS there. And an interesting game. Topside for T1 so very much in their favor. 2 kills to the Maokai feels excellent. Tied up in CS, been very far behind. But the bottom side for BLG, the mid lane as well, definitely looking in their favor.
But that's why I like what T1 are doing. They're like, hey, look, let's try and get as much vision down as possible. You can see the ward that spotted out Shun on Krugs. Owner actually looking for the invade here off the Faker's presence in mid lane. And even just getting saplings down so you can spot out Shun's route. Now you know for a fact that Shun's winning on bot side. So I imagine you'll see bot lane playing very passive, especially with Rift Herald about to come up. Looks like Owner just got a trade, knowing that he saw Shun go bot side.
Honestly, love this from Owner. I also love his build, by the way. I'm not a big fan of the first strike Maokai. You know, yeah, going for the DPS and trying to get really early demonic. I'm much bigger fan of the tank Maokais here, and Phase Rush makes it so much easier to play the mid game, play those team fights as well as the skirmishes, and he's going to be able to pick up the Rift Herald on top of those kills. The thing about Rift Herald, it gives you a lot of gold. It's also a lot of concentrated gold onto the jungler, and that is solo pickup for him. So this is going to be a very beefy Maokai, a real frontline Maokai.
And I think he's going to be able to empower Zeus even more here. The fact that you have nearly double the gold for Zeus versus that sign of 1,700 to 3,200 for Zeus. You've got plates that are falling in that top side. You can wander up there as Maokai, pop down that, and just make sure that this Ken is going to be huge.
Rocket connecting. Elk maybe overstaying, putting a little bit. Guma immediately going to find the snare. polymorphed and forced back. Ulti coming in, good damage on Elk, and he snipes him! They're just between the minions!
That was a duel at high noon. Oh my God!
Oh, Elk caught out immediately, the Lamb's respite, but he's pushed out! Carry and Owner making it happen on the bottom side.
Carrier yoinks him off the Kindred ultimate under the tower. T1 answer.
Meanwhile, in the mid lane, 1v1, Yagao versus Faker, but again, Yagao out of mana. No avenue left there as First Strike comes back up. Bloodbath on the bottom side.
Oh, Daga, that was so beautiful. The AD carries drawing in the duel down there. Ultimate for Zap.
It's the Zap gap, right? Just barely manages to squeeze it through, but so well done. Elk getting that kill. Nice return, though, with Carey, as he said. Just barely managing to get that hook outside of the range of that Kindred ultimate will get the kill, but Elk now starting to rotate up. This is something we see a lot from the LPL teams where they're like, cool, we just want to get this Jinx as much gold and solo XP as possible. So, well, not solo at the moment, but they're going to see if they can get onto Zeus as he continues to push in.
Bit of stakes to this play as well. Aphelios perfect guns to take towers. Once you have white gun, you can really set these things up. They need to find a kill or at least a flash onto Zeus. He's strong, but he really hasn't spent that much money. He is going to be forced to flash out to safety. BLG, can they keep the pressure up on the top side? Because already, Guma's going to start hitting plates and tearing through that tower in the bottom lane.
Yeah, and they've got Rift Trail too, remember, from the last time around.
Red-white.
So they can go with really, really deep. I'd love to see a double turret charge here for T1. The problem with BLG trying to trade sides here, Rift Trail kind of has to be answered.
And that's the thing, you've got red-white here for Gumayushi. They plunk down the Herald. It's nigh on impossible now for you to actually match this as BLG. So T1, even though we got that early kill, they're going to get a ton of gold back onto Gumayushi.
Yeah, secondary charge is even more critical. Secondary towers here on both side lanes being buffed up to being 800 gold for your team. So much value if they can get the 2-for-1. The charge gets off. They see Bin though, and they're going to back off.
No need to overcommit there, but you can see moments ago it was almost 1,000 in the favor of Elk. Now shrunk significantly down to about 600.
The big thing though is that BLG actually do manage to trade both side turrets, right? Yes, you get the charge onto the tier 2, but you don't have a huge amount of pressure down there at the moment. So at least at the moment, BLG are answering turret for turrets.
Yeah, it is very greedy, but that's why I really like to see teams fully commit to trying to get that secondary turret. The rewards are huge. Here it is. That's what we're talking about. It's an ult shot for a zap shot.
That minion just betrayed him. It just walked out of the way. He said, nah, I'm good. Whoa, that's crushing.
The reverse creep block. It's like, bro, I tried to, but you're just in the way.
There you can see the turn. I mean, it looks so good from Lamb's Respite, but immediately the arcane smash
Oh,
backwards
Maokai,
into the hook, keeping him there, or the passive rather. But now on the top side, ult traded for ult. Zeus versus Yagao, but there's so much backup here. Zeus had a massive advantage, but Shun looking to take him down.
I mean, great job from BLG. Immediately the roam up, and again, look at what they're doing with this Jinx, constantly keeping her solo. But Bin is also solo, and there's a lot more T1 members around.
Just waiting. I think looking for an angle to ult, trying to get away from the Maokai. Body blocks coming in though. I don't think there's a way out of this one. It'll take him a little bit of time to tear through that health bar on the Scion. Bin flashing and ulting, the body block coming out as well. Owner gonna trade flash for flash. Gonna try to eat the wave here as soon as he goes zombie mode just to stop any further pressure from T1, but a clean pick on the bottom side.
They will manage to pick up the kill, but you can even see Yagao pushing in that top side. Elk getting pushed in the mid as well. So nice one for T1 to manage to get that kill. Just have to see if they can try and push that forward and actually threaten that tier 2 as Elk is in that mid lane. You even got the roam from Carey as well. BLG really need to respond to this bot lane pressure.
Faker stepping forward, doing a good amount of damage. Zap coming back in. Gale Force forward from Elk. Elk takes those. 2-level disadvantage, but the Gale Force power spike significant enough that he can turn that one with On backing him up. And now BLG looking to get control on the bottom side of the river.
1 second left on Elk's ulti. Does he? It's a long time between the chunk and the recall. He's not going to go for it. Few seconds barring that one, so Faker gets it off. Faker gets his Eclipse.
Crucial to have. We check in 13 minutes into the game. 1,000 gold in favor of T1. A lot of that still on the Kennen. See massive difference there on the top side. But Elk pulling very far ahead of Guma. We've seen more often than not this meta all about engages and all about carries. Currently Elk has the edge. See what Zeus can do versus Yagao on the bottom side in the 1v1, getting closer and closer. 35 seconds till the Ocean Drake. Stacking has been big in these longer games.
That stop onto Shun is huge though. He wanted to reset and get his Kraken Slayer. Now going to be late to the party. You can see he's trying to reset. May even stop it again here. Shun hasn't been able to reset, whereas you look at the Radiant Virtue already there for Owner. This is going to give a ton of presence here for T1 in the river as Dragon's about to spawn.
T1 have the push. There's a ward in the mid lane. Elk just trying to lay down a little bit of poke. Yoink. Stealing away the Maokai ultimate is big though. Owner can't deny that by trying to twisted advance forward as there's no target.
Yep, that control ward giving the vision there. Yagao is able to get it for the dragon fight. They know though. All right, now watch this Kennen. Zeus does not have flash. He does have Proto Belt, though. Fishing around, a lot of deep vision for T1 through the blue quadrant of the jungle. And BLG, they push the mid lane first, and they'll use that mid lane push on the minions to move into the river again. The classic 1-2 steps every team does to get access to the dragon.
Zeus has the flank angle. Yagao going to try to mark him and spot him out, but TP being channeled.
The top side.
Just going to keep the pressure up, willing to concede this Drake. TP being matched now. The dragon will go over to the side of BLG.
A lot of members of T1 moving up towards this top side, though. You can see Keria was thinking about going for something on the top.
He's locked up under the tower. Ben trying to fire back. Oh, he just 1v1s him. What?
Let me see the beginning of that. Check the tapes.
I don't know what happened to Zeus there, but Ben absolutely bodying him underneath the tower. We need to recheck exactly what went down, but BLG now will actually have a bit of presence on the map now if they want to try and contest for this Rift out. You can see that with the way T1 is set up kind of defensively across the line, might be a bit tough. Looks like they're just happy to trade it for the bot lane turret for Yagao instead.
Getting that extra pressure, and again, we'll have to take a look back on what exactly went wrong there, but Sion definitely a champion you can't afford to overstep against, under tower at least, so the deficit not mattering here is Zeus maybe overconfident.
Minion wave, look at this minion wave.
Oh, he walked into it.
He pressed Q! What?
He walked into it.
That's a big oopsie in a very high-stake game. Ben seems unfazed and unsurprised.
And unlike Licorice, that one actually happened. I can't believe that was actually insane. The fact he managed to get that one, it was just nuts. T1, massive mistake. And now for BLG, they actually start to get decent control again onto this top side. You can see they're starting to rotate as Elk around. They want to try and get that push and continue to get this gold into Elk. As long as he can stay safe, he's going to be in a good spot. Jack Shone now picked up for Bin as well. He's going to write a lot of that gold that Zeus had in the lead for.
I love it when we get the Bin cams and he's just shaking. Even though he's down 40 CS here on the Sion, had the level 1 commitment for himself, still gets the solo kill.
Yeah, and I think even for Zeus, this is crushing because you were the one really strong point of the map. You've now been isolated and picked off twice. One, commendable play from BLG that time, just a mistake from Zeus. And in the beginning of the tournament, Kennen was not a priority for the LCK or the LPL, but for LEC, for LCS, we prioritized very highly, and it looked not very impactful. I thought that we'd see something different from Zeus, but it's really hard, it seems, to transition these Kennen advantages out of lane, especially against a team like BLG.
All right, well, he is level 11, does have flash. BLG, they're going to be marking him, though. You always want to send a mark over there, keep vision of him. Doggy, you mentioned the Lulu polymorphin possibilities there.
All right, I'm just saying that if there's an opportunity in Season 2 arc, it just replaces the voice actor. You know what I'm saying? It's probably just Elk. In the Chinese
the
dub,
Zap
just, yeah,
Master.
there to go. Give him the opportunity to try out. Elk could be in trouble now, though. A lot of tools coming in. The snare is going to connect with Elk. He's immediately going to cleanse. Guma locked up briefly. Yagao with the stolen ultimate, so denying the play in the mid lane. Just in exchange for the cleanse.
It's not really like T1 lose anything, though. There's no real presence on the top side. You can see Bin isn't able to push in too far. They're still going to be able to move down to the bot side to collect it. So the fact you've now burnt that cleanse is actually going to be massive for the Dragon in 2 minutes' time. So really nice call there for T1, trying to prioritize burning some of these summoner spells off of Elk before these objectives come up.
Definitely an advantage. As long as they can force a fight, as long as they can find an angle. Yagao stepping up, looking to break open the Tier 1 tower. Bin off to the side just to threaten a potential follow-up. Tower taken out. More gold into the back pocket of Elk as he gets closer and closer to that second item.
Nice force there from BLG. Topside push in, they rotate over, bully down this tower, and more money into the Jinx.
And you can feel the tension now, because we're getting closer and closer. It's only 18 minutes of the game, but you know the big 5v5s are right around the corner. A lot of the lane advantages early on are going to start to fall away now as these towers fall, and it becomes more about grouping up 2v2s, 3v3s, and of course, fighting for the major objectives. A minute and 18 seconds. Now Cloud is on the table. Can't imagine either side going to rush to Baron too quickly here.
I think for T1, the big thing they need to do is try and get some sort of flank positions here for Zeus. If you can get like a ward that isn't swept out, or like we saw in the last game, right? They were very good at trying to get these deep wards. Get that position for Zeus. He has flash. Maybe you can make some magic happen where you get access towards Elk, especially with that cleanse being down. But I think it does just become so difficult with how the map is set up at the moment. Elk has mid-prio. Yeah, go back out onto the map first, so he's pushing bot side. So it makes it quite hard for T1 to really get that presence on the map to start to get these deeper wards.
And the reason everyone has joined the ruler school of thought of this Jinx over the Aphelios is that range advantage. When you've got Jinx with the fish bones, with the lethal tempo stacked, especially once he's able to get his rapid fire cannon, and you've got a Kindred peeling, a Lulu peeling, this massive frontline peeling for you can be so hard to crack that team fight. And the massive gold advantage here, almost 1,500 for Elk, really funding that power.
And Elk only about 600 gold away from being able to complete his Infinity Edge, just the pickaxe and the completion cost. Staying in front of him. Herald going to be used in the mid lane. Expect the charge to get off. Not a lot of tools to deny this one. We'll see. They're cutting it down very quickly. And how many times are we going to see a Herald not be able to charge here in this best of 5? Well played by BLG to deny that.
There's just not much of a response here from T1. They're trying to see any sort of angle they can get on the map. If you could get that mid lane turret down, yeah, sure, then you can get that vision that we were talking about. But BLG deny it well. Kindred coming across the match with the smite, and now they get the dragon. T1 going to put pressure onto the tier 2, but you can already see the resets coming through. They're not really going to get much damage onto this top tower.
Only thing BLG really want to fish out here is a nice, easy spawn on a Kindred mark. We're still sitting on 3 marks for Shun. Getting fourth is that critical one for the extra range. Then their team fight just becomes so incredibly hard to deal with. T1, they're still hoping for that big fight where they can get Maokai ultimate plus Nautilus ultimate blocking down Elk to open up the space for Zeus to get inside.
This does become harder though. That window of opportunity that we talked about where they'd burnt Elk's cleanse is no longer available. Elk's about to get that up. Yagao just completed his Anya's Hourglass as well, so he'll be relatively safe. And as soon as Bin comes into these fights and just stands in the front, it's like, well, owner, how are you supposed to get access to this back line? It's becoming a lot more difficult for T1 to operate, especially as soon as Elk completes this Infinity Edge.
Yeah, T1 have to be so careful right now. They just have to play off of saplings and Faker empowered Shock Blast for poke. If you're able to get enough saplings around these objectives, you have to play so trickly around your vision. Faker now, he just completed his Muramana. It is transformed, so they're hoping against hope that they can get some actual good poke down, but it's going to be hard to get around Bin.
And I think this is where we got to see the T1 Barons, right? I actually think it's your best bet is to try and start something at Baron, get a TP out of Yagao, because Yagao has been so consistently playing in these side lanes. And if you end up in that position where, okay, we can get a TP from BLG, well, then you have that opportunity to start playing the map. Maybe you can then have that numbers advantage that comes through in your favor, where you can start to push forward, start to always threaten that 4 versus 5, and BLG will be forced to back away. But it just seems so difficult at the moment with where BLG are positioned on the map.
Yeah, and with the items in inventory here, it is Infinity Edge completed now for Elk with that big gold advantage. So T1, till Guma can complete his, he's going back right now. They definitely don't want to mess with anything. And BLG, they're trying to take advantage of that window, get their vision completed around Baron.
Double 80 carries, I mean, the same play you talked about T1 making. BLG also have the option to make. They have a decent front line and they can do a lot of damage. Still pretty early in the game, so a bit slower. And you can see that's the poke you highlighted on Forced to Recall here, maybe giving Keria an avenue to contest at least some of this early vision. But we're getting later and later in the game. The stakes are getting higher around these fights. It's the 1v1 on the bottom side. Yagao stepping in. He does have the Zhonya's. But trading ult for ult is a very good deal for BLG.
Yeah, it's so worth for Silas. See what they can do now. Kennen is going to have to go back, heal up. Still has teleport, still has flash, but BLG again, sweeping through, clearing out that vision, clearing out those saplings.
But the thing is, you're starting to get Shun, as you can see here. He's going to pick up another mark for himself. You're not going to be up towards the 4. Is that his fortress?
Yep, that's
yeah,
4, baby.
Yeah.
That's the one we wanted.
Yeah.
That was that luck coming in. Ooh.
And that's where it's going to now be a little bit more difficult for BLG, because Shun's in a good spot. Trying to contest the mid push isn't quite there. And yes, you do have Owner, who is tanky, has gone for the Randuin's Omen. And I think that will help out quite a bit. You don't really want to get the LDR just yet as Elk. You've oftentimes seen that push back to 4 items. But also the fact that you had to go Gale Force here doesn't mean you can substitute a lot of your damage with that true damage. The Gale Force is there for safety, trying to get in towards the Lamb's respite when needed, and it's a little bit of a window there for T1.
Oh, but this is Elk, baby. I'm there. That Gale Force is there to be an orbital blast cannon going in for kills.
He goes in. That's what he does. And we'll have to see if Elk can find another angle or if he gets over-aggressive here, because right now it does feel like BLG are pretty firmly in control of the map. T1 are responding, but the second that Yagao is able to take Zeus' ult away, so much of the T1's angles of attack, their fangs are essentially just taken out of the equation.
And this is so much more patience than we usually see from BLG. They want to fight 9 times out of 10, and we're getting that like 1% where it doesn't really work out. They don't want to go for anything, and all they're trying to do is buy time for Elk. They know what side the bread is buttered, and as long as you can get Elk to the rapid fire, you get that Black Cleaver, which has just been completed for Shun as well. Now you've actually got opportunities to help shred that front line, get into a good spot, and make sure you can play for these team fights.
The orbital blast cannon is online, fellas. And if he gets that first kill, then he's an orbital blast cannon on crack.
Okay. There it is. Kobe setting the stakes for the fight.
We've seen so much Jinx
It's
take
true.
over
Yeah.
MSI.
I mean, once you get the lethal tempo stack, the extra range, it becomes very impossible for Aphelios alone to win the 1v1 because you just get out maneuvered.
Just be glad Milio's not allowed in MSI. Because that range,
I'm happy every day that we don't have to see him there.
that is some range.
You don't even have to be in orbit at that stage. It's just a cross map.
Cross
Wherever you
galaxy.
go. Why even pick Karthus? You have rapid fire Jinx with Amelia. So no Bilio this time around the Lulu, though. Still going to offer a lot of support for Elk in the fight to come. BLG on the cusp of Cloud Soul. T1 not as impactful as Ocean, but still can be hugely impactful. Need to be ready to fight this one. Yagao on the flank. Zeus fishing. Has the ult up and available. Been an immovable object on the front line here.
This is Soul. BLG just have to kill the minion wave, and then they can, well, I guess they still have to check about a T1 Baron. T1 are that team that will flip the Baron if you too heavily commit to the Dragon, so they just send Shun.
Yeah, that's why Shun's going over, but Bane has been doing a really good job of matching carry, forcing him to hook away, and every time they do, Elk steps up. Now BLG just going to play it slow, make sure that they're not actually giving anything. T1 will start the Baron. Shun's a mile away.
This is a massive risk. Kuma has terrible gun support fight. He has to burn through purple gun ammo as fast as humanly possible. Still a 45 carry on the flank, looking for the angle. Immediate disengage all coming out from the Maokai. Zayas looking for an angle into the backside. He's trying to burn through Elk, but Elk pre-flashing out to try to make it to safety onto the backside as well. The 80 carry still standing. Kuma finally swapping guns, ready to keep the fight going, but T1 already routed. Shun coming up clutch. Resets coming in, and here is the orbital cannon bombarding onto the front and back line of T1 as they will bully them out of the pit and look to take the worm for themselves. It's a triple for Shun.
That's gonna be it. BLG wipe T1 off of the map. T1 knew they were backed into a corner here. They're facing Soul plus Baron spawn at the same time. Their only hope was to try and start it, and
Yagao's not done! This man's supposed to be the worst mid laner left in the top 4, but he just keeps showing up. He took down Chovy. He's looking to take down Faker as well.
yeah, nobody expected to say this, but you gapped everybody.
I mean, look, Two-Pace is looking real clean today. The fact that he's coming in and getting these kills onto Guma, you get the Annie in game 1 that looks great. He has a 68% career win rate on the Silas, and you're seeing why. Steals the Maokai ult, manages to draw the space there for Elk, and as you rightly pointed out, Elk gets the cleanse, flashes away from Zeus, so he's able to stay alive, outpace them, and now Shun in the picture.
No, T1, this is not your jungle anymore. Carry a cut down immediately. The stolen now going to come out. Bin with the follow-up. The blast cone will be enough to take going out to safety. No, it will not. He's healing. He's giving everything he can, but the mounting dread for T1 just continues to get worse and worse. Shun now pushing in, looking to take out Faker, looking to go for the 1v1. The Lamb's respite up and available. The pressure, BLG will not relent. BLG looking to break open the base in game 2.
BLG beat T1 in the first game with their style. They say we'll play the meta in game number 2, and Shun bringing out his pocket kindred to this tournament has looked fantastic, and T1 are going down.
And just continuing the Gale Force under tower. He does not give a damn about Kennen or anything on this Rift. He has the win in his sights. BLG breaking down the first tower, breaking down the second. It's Guma versus the world, but Guma will not be enough in game 2. Yagao on the backside taking his time with Faker. They can just end. The Lamb's respite buys Guma a brief moment to watch his own Nexus fall. It is BLG against all odds at match point.
What is happening in MSI? BLG are dismantling Korea. That is what's happening. They take down Gen G, and they are in the process of taking down